The lawmakers are moving ahead with the investigation into the Russian interference in the U.S. presidential election. GOP Congressman Mike Conaway is now heading up that probe in the House after House Intel Chairman Devin Nunes, well, as you know, he recused himself amid those allegations of ethics issues. And it comes as we are now learning that the CIA joined the FBI in tracking Russia's actions throughout the summer of 2016 and may have started it in the first place. What does this mean? Danny Coulson joins us, former Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI and the FBI's Hostage Rescue Team Commander. He's in Fort Worth this evening. Danny, always good to see you. First of all,
it's always good to see you. Thanks.
The CIA now, we learn, apparently picked some stuff up early part of the summer. The chairman of the CIA director, John Brennan, goes to the Hill and addresses in secret the so-called Gang of Eight, some of the top Senate and House leaders, about this. What does it mean, and what is the significance that it was the CIA potentially first getting wind that there was something?
Well, it depends on what they got, Eric. I think that is the drama here. If you look at the reporting, there's comments like may have been, they may have done this. There's comments like the Trump campaign possibly was involved. That's not good enough for me. If I were representing the Congress, and I used to work with them, I worked on the Hill for many years, I'd want to know what is the basis for this. An analytical report by somebody at the agency, that's one thing. A detailed, get in the weeds type, who said what, when, and where. What led you to that conclusion? It may very well be they're trying to influence the election. I think we're going to find they were. The issue is, what was the effect on the election? And we know right now somebody released a lot of documents from the DNC that were somewhat harmful to Hillary. But I think we have to step back and think we need to see hard evidence here that these things happen. Without that, we're speculating, and the agency sometimes does that. Their threshold for coming to a conclusion is much different from that of the FBI. So it'll be good to see what they come up with together, and then we can all make a decision. And certainly we don't want the Russians here in our democracy, and we know they're trying to get in here and do things, and they'll do it in the future. We just have to be ready for it.
There was even a split, apparently between the FBI and the CIA, and whether it was to influence the election and/or there was an effort to connect with the Trump campaign folks. But how do you?
I think that's really. I'm sorry. I interrupted you. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
I think that's really significant because, again, the threshold for proof for the FBI and the CIA are totally different. They reach conclusions that we would never reach because we don't have the hard facts, and maybe we're old-fashioned that we want show me the money, show me the information. I want to know who said what, when, what did you intercept, and what is the basis for your conclusion. And that's healthy, and I think Congress needs that, and the combination of both will help them get to the answer.
Yeah, just show me the facts, ma'am, I guess as you would say.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Here's what the New York Times reports about that. Let me read this to you, get your reaction. They say 10 weeks before the election, John Brennan, then the CIA director, was so concerned about increasing evidence of Russia election meddling that began a series of urgent individual briefings for 8 top members of Congress, some of them on secure phone lines, while they were on their summer break. In an August 25th briefing for Harry Reid, then the top Democrat in the Senate, Mr. Brennan indicated that Russia's hackings appeared aimed at helping Mr. Trump win the November election, according to 2 former officials with knowledge of the briefing. The official said Mr. Brennan also indicated that unnamed advisors to Mr. Trump might be working with the Russians to interfere the election. Now, first of all, let me point out there's the word might and seemed.
Yes.
And also, how do you square this, Danny, with the fact that the intelligence officials have come out on the record so far saying that there is no evidence of collusion. There is no evidence of coordination that they've uncovered, or that we know, at least, publicly.
I think that was my point earlier, Eric, is that show me the proof of this. Maybe, possibly. That's not good enough for me. I ran the Iran-Contra investigation. I came into involved in that kind of stuff every day where we get speculation. It turned out, well, there's nothing to support it. And I think that we have an obligation in the Congress to ask for specific information and data, not the result of some analytical
and like what would
work by...
What would that be? They've got transcripts. They've got the telephone transcripts, and maybe they have emails, and there's that server in the Trump Tower that there's the report there was a warrant on involved with some bank or 2 banks in Russia. What specifically, if you were running this thing,
could that be?
Would you want to see?
That's really easy. It could be a source. The agency has unbelievable sources. The FBI has unbelievable sources. And Congress doesn't need to know who they are, but they need to know what that source said and what is his proximity to the information. Did that source have the ability to come up with that information? What is his or her reliability? And how did that play out in the whole scenario? So you want to get right down to the very nitty-gritty, the lowest level of information, and show how you got that, as opposed to making a conclusion about linking fact A with fact B with fact C and coming to a maybe or a possibility. I think that's really important, and that's the way I worked, and I think that's the way the FBI worked. I think you'll see that play out here pretty soon.
You know, and finally, you say you think we'll see it play out. Do you think we'll see it? I mean, does this stuff go to Congress? Does the public? Do we get to see all this stuff eventually?
Oh, we should, absolutely. There's no doubt we should see it. We have a right to. We're citizens of our country. We hold a high office here. We should know what the Russians are doing. I think what will play out is the Russians are attempting to do it. They did everything they can or could to influence the election one way or another, and we're going to know the answer. I feel quite sure.
All right, Danny Coulson in Fort Worth today. Danny, we'll see what comes of this, if indeed there are any, or get some of those specifics when they come. Thank you.